Hello future tech leaders, I am Sindhuja. Based on my own experience, I know that learning the right skills can shape our future. What if I say learning was as thrilled as the tech world itself? There we go. A cloud foundation, that's exactly what you will experience. From day one, you will be immersed in the interactive sessions and expert-led courses that covers most of the widely used technologies in the zone of data science to cloud computing, which brings more light to the life of a techie. I'm so excited to help you and unlock the true potential of a technology. Well, then why to wait? Let's see what it unfolds.
Now we are going to discuss on how to give the permission for the fields. If you see here, these are all the fields. Figured 1 country, undefined, multi-field 1, 2 postings, corporate postings and all. Like these fields have been defined till here, right? To interview guide, the fields has been defined. From here the permission starts. Before we move to permission, whenever we create a requisition, there will be 3 statuses. Pre-approved, approved, closed status. Can you tell me what is pre-approved, approved and closed status? Pre-approved is when the requisition is created, like when the roadmap appears, and then you have to fill some information. Approve is when all the recruitment process starts, like when the candidates apply, when you post a requisition and on. Easily what? How can I define it? Sorry, say again. Just a moment. That time, once you click on create, you define all the requirements and it goes to a route map right. For approval process with different people defined as in the roadmap. That is called as pre-approved status. Approved is who all the people involved in this route map will provide an approval for it. Then it will be open for hiring. That time you can hire candidates. Closed status. You are going to say it when you have hired a candidate within the requisition and your requirement is filled and you're closing the requisition. You're clear about this. What it is? Yes. Now we will come to the permission part. We are going to define permission based on these 3 things. Who all can see it in pre-approved state. Means once I go and create a requisition and if I send it for approval, those people need to see the details right before they approve the things are fine or not. Got the idea? For that, what are the fields they can see? There are different fields here, right? When pre-approved states before approving. Before he clicks on approved, he wants to check right all the fields is correct or not, or the content is present or not. Here, we're going to consider it as that pre-approved. What else you see can see it. What are the fields he doesn't want to see it? We have control over there. Next thing is in approved status. This is approved requisition because you can hire a candidate here, right? It's already in open state. Status is open. You can go ahead and schedule the interview, and if you want, you can hire a candidate in this. Now as a recruiter, what all fields I can see as a recruiter or hiring manager or enforcer or originator or a VPS staffing or a HR manager? What are fields they can see it in this state that is called as approved state? And then the last one is closed state. I'm going to hire a candidate. My requirement is finished. Person has been decided. It will be moved to onboarding or onboarding is done. I just want to close this requisition. I'll just go and close this requisition. We are going to decide which operator going to see what fields and what permission he has in which status. That we will see. Here we are going to define the fields within the requisition. Here comes the permission part. Quick question. If we have more, like for example, I think we checked yesterday requisition. What is when it had on older custom things, right? That one is just for their reference. But we don't give permission over there. If you want to. I'm not sure. Normally they don't keep it. Normally as a standard process, we just keep it as a pre-approved. Approved and closed status. This is a general scenario. This is what they was not going to have anything in that. If you want, you can just give it right. You have to add this on hold as a bit inside the requisition center for under this requisition status. And then instead of pre-approved, you have to define that particular state. Whatever you want, for example, on hold. It will work pretty much the same, right? Like you have to define the state in the peak list and then define the requisition that you want to. Yes. Just make sure whatever the value is there, it is exactly replicated, or else it won't take in case if you're creating. Just try to understand the concept. We will be defining the status here with status and what the operators involved in this and what are the fields they can see. And what is it? I will just give an example here. They have given it as none. Permission is none. For what are the operators? That is for coordinator, hiring manager, originator, recruiter, secondary recruiter. We pay staffing. These operators don't have any permission for these number of fields in pre-approved state. They don't have any permission. Either they can see, neither they can edit. Understood. Next one is read permission. Read permission for which operator that is defined here. Originator, O means originator in which status, pre-approved status. What are the fields? I need this originator to read it. These fields. Similarly, permission for R. What is the permission I need to give? Read permission for which operator or operator in which status, pre-approved status. These are the fields. It's pretty much the same. Yes, it's pretty much the same as payment. When you, for example, at the top, like the first permission is none. And then you can add some permissions. That for me. How can I say that? Like, if the permission is the last permission, is the permission that the user got even though the first permission is known. If you give the user right permissions. Here actually you can reorder. It doesn't mean that you have to do it in this format only. But for a better understanding, to make it in a presentable way, people will always try to follow the standard process. They start with pre-approved, they start with none, and then they come to reading, and then they come to write permission. Similarly, if I go down, read, here it starts. I want to write permission. For whom? For operator, who means originator, which status? Pre-approved status. What are the fields? Original can edit it. These are the fields he can edit it. In pre-approved status. Like this, we want to define, based on our requirement, this you're going to gather this. How you're going to decide it, whom to give what permission. That will be decided during the requirement gathering. You should ask the person who needs what permission. I have already done that. Here we finish the pre-approved status. Next comes this one we have worked on. Pre-approved state, we have done it, we have won the permission. Next comes the approved state. Similarly, read permission for operator originator in approved status. What are the fields he wants to read? These are the fields. You just have to give the field ID whatever you have defined in the top. You just have to copy paste here. Similarly, different rules write. And then once we complete it for approved state, we will come to closed status. Normally for closed status, they don't give any permission as such. But if some client has requirement, they want some edit to be done, it is possible they can give it. They have given only read permission in a closed status. That's how normal it will be. They just want to read it because everything is hired right. They don't want to make any modifications after hiring. And regarding that role, like, can you go up regarding the role that is there, the operator that is there? I'm sorry. How? Like, I don't remember, like clear, but you say that role is not using anymore. Which role exactly? The role that you are seeing, the operator that you are seeing right now in this permission. This one, J role. This J role is for super admin. This automatically gets created. You don't have to do anything. This happens by the input. This is auto generated. It says here right, auto generated. Even if you create your XML here and import it once into the system, this gets auto generated. Once you export it, it will be there by default. You have no control on this. This is auto generated. You don't have to worry about it. Once you create this XML and once you import in the system right inside the system itself, this gets auto generated. This we have no control on that. Like the person who import the file is the person who get that role. No. Anybody can go and import it, whoever has the permission for. This is for system generated. This is not for us. This is for system. We don't have to do anything and we are not going to modify anything here. I can actually delete this. And if I import this file and export this file again, this will be there already, even if you have not created this. It's auto-generated. But my question is how I can, because the operators are just like limited, like just 7, I think, or 6, something like that. Yes, in case I need to use another operator general, can I use a solution or? No, that's the success factor limitation. That's the main drawback of success factors RCM. They have to accommodate in those roles. There is no extra roles created. There is no extra roles given. I know. It's just in that case. How can I use the general operator? Like I know that recruiter, I don't know, like the queue role, I can just assign the operator in the requisition and I can type any type of name. That general operator is just when I create a super user from provisioning. No, super user has got nothing to do with it. Whatever your requirement is there, right? You have to accommodate it within those. Beyond this, you cannot do anything. You have to tell your client only these operators are available and they need to accommodate within this. And most of the clients will be able to do it. And I mean, they know that's how it has been done. They'll be able to do it. In case, if they don't want to give it for a single term, we have an option for teams also, right? We can generate a team for this, like routine team coordinator. Somehow they managed to do it and intentionally, success factor has done it in that way. I don't know about this. This is a system limitation and we cannot do anything about that. Only this number of fields is available. And there is no alternative for us to work around that we can do anything about this. And most of the clients can accommodate within this. I don't think this will be an issue. But even if the client does, that will be the answer. This is the system limitation and they need to accommodate within this. We discussed about read-write permission in 3 status. One is pre-approved. Approved and closed status for different operators within the requisition. You are clear now. There is another permission related to requisition, that is open, reopen and close requisitions. Yesterday, I told you about this, right? Button permission. You can see it here. We will define it at the end of it. You can define it anywhere, but we just follow the standard process. One comes after another. That whoever sees it, it looks fine. And we just follow it. We will define it here. Button permission. Close to all these operators. Button ID close requisition and reopen requisition. Worth it. Yesterday I showed you in the front end, right? How to do the permission? Here it is. Close. I got to close. Reopen the requisition. Hiring manager. HR administrator, originator, recruiter. Which permission they have given all. Now we have covered the permission part within the requisition. Coming back to requisitions. Yesterday, I didn't get a chance to talk about it. This is called as instruction. You were asking, right? What is instruction field? This is called as instruction. We were defining here, right? And we're going to see under requisition how to define certain fields for specific countries. Specific countries. For example, that comes under application. We will discuss on that in application part. Now we will just focus on requisition part. This is called as instructions. Yesterday you were asking, right? If you want an instruction field, you can define it here. You can give anything. These are all instructions. These are all fields. And then these are all custom fields that I've created. This one, for this is instructions again. Now we will talk about the things. Internal job title, external job title. Internal job title field is this. This is for what? Do you want to call this job for the internal? You know about IGP, right? Internal job portal. If I'm working within a company, within my company, I can apply for a different position. If I go to careers, quick question. What happened if, because that happened in my previous company last time, like for example, someone defined, like they need a new field on the process and they create a new field and request that field as mandatory. And the thing was that on a specific role, for example, let's say that you have an A, B, C new field that is mandatory in pre-approved state to recruiters or something like that. The requisition take the new field or the changes automatically when you update the system. Even though the requisition was created before the change and it was in process. How should be the best way to manage that type of scenario when you need a new field, and how do you know what I mean? Like how to create should be a new requisition or no, if you want to add a field, you can add again once the requisition is present, right? You can keep adding the field. That's not a problem. And what happened if it's mandatory and then the system give you like some pop-up error message because one required field was like is not? What happens in that case is whenever you create a new requisition right, that time you don't face any issues, but whatever the requisitions already present for the requisitions. You're talking about the one which is in a scenario, right? Yes, but say again, sorry. You're talking about the scenario which is live, right? Yes, it's live. And you are asking, you want to add a new field that has a mandatory field and how it's going to impact the requisitions which is already present in the system. This impact is there only for the requisitions which is present in the system, which is not there for newly created requisitions. What are the requisitions which is already in my queue? If I go to recruiting, then if I see the requisitions which is already created and which is live and things are happening, it will throw an error. What you can do is you have to give the right permission for any one of the person or one of the operator that he can go and fix that issue. He will be knowing the values for that field, right? One person needs to go and update that field and save it. Save the changes for all the requisitions which was previously present. Question, can I do like I don't know if it's too much, but can I like, for example, to all the requisitions that are in progress and are facing that issue, can I like upload that field? You cannot upload that field. Like the value to prevent error coming. I'm not sure. I'll just give you a random idea. You can create a business rule. If the requisition is, and you can mention the field value, and then provided this happens only if your value is constant. Or else you know the value, how it's going to change. For example, if the country is America, then the value has to be A. Or else if the country of the requisition is equal to Canada and the value has to be B. If you have some regression, you can write a business rule based on that regression and you can attach it to the requisitions. That will take care of it. That will automatically pop up for the requisitions which is already present previously. And if the value is different, then how the system will know that this has to be the value for this requisition? There should be some logic, right? There should be some base for it to identify what to be given. If the value is different, it should be like a manual process. You can just give the permission for that one operator and one team, and you can ask them to manually update it. That's the thing, right? I mean, there is no other option for it. Thank you. Next time to the field. This is the job. These are all standard fields. Internal and external title job description. Job description. You can copy and paste and you know about competencies, right? What are the competencies you use in PMGM? The same will be used in Dicker printer as well. If you go to browse and we can see the competencies which was already added. We can just go and add it. These competencies will reflect the interview center. What are the competencies saved in the requisition? These are the competencies that will reflect in the interview center. And we can add another field for questions. There are similar competencies. These are questionnaires. We can add it from our library that we can create on our own. This can be anything, and you can make it whether these questions will appear for the candidate when he is applying for a job. You can see that these questions are you above 18. If you make it as a mandatory, then it will be mandatory for the candidate to respond to this answer. We can also disqualify the candidate. For example, if you can make it saying the correct answer is yes. If somebody says the answer is no, types the answer as no, it can be disqualified. If it's disqualified, then there is a status within the target pipeline, right? Disqualified status. It will directly take the candidate to that status. We cannot proceed further with that candidate. Automatically disqualified. This is like a first level screening for any of the company. This based on the client requirement. Anything can be given. Got. If you want to make it as a disqualifier, we can make it or else just a question and answer. He'll just answer this. Two things I want to discuss on. There is something called as header and footer in job description. The job description header. This is for internal header and this is for external header. Header is something like when you're posting a job, right? And there are both the job description and below the job description. You can make it as a highlighting part. Job description is there. And above this job description and below this job description, I can make this to be pasted. Normally what the clients will do is, in header, they will take about the company. For instance, Google. Google is they just give the brief description about the company just for advertisement purpose. In footer, normally what they do is they just give some of the disclaimer part of the thing. Disclaimer something like, there is no discrimination in this company. There is no racism in this company. Those kind of things. That's just the F2 client. Whatever they wanted, they can add it. Header and footer. Are you aware of this? You got to know about this. This we can add it as a feed here. If the client prefers to have it, you can add it. Then you have the option to select it. You can create a number of header and footer and you save it. Then the person can choose anything before posting the job. Yes, I have seen that in the requisition. And people just have to select the template, right? These were the things for the requisition. Now we will discuss some things. We were here. You know about the operators, right? And how to create teams, operator teams. Yes, operator teams and groups. Here we have defined a team. Recruiting team has been created. This is a team, right? Operator team is type. And required is false. Custom is false. And then what is the group name for it? What is the name for it? We are going to call this logistics recruiter. Once we define like this, and then what we can do is here as a recruiting team. I can see it as a field here. See here recruiting team. I have a question there. For example, I don't understand really. Can you see like a next recruiter team is the names of the groups of the individual persons that are part of that group. How? What is the loop? I will come to that part. What first part is you're going to define this field in the requisition. You're going to define it. Now we want to tag this team right. We want to identify what is the group. Who are the users of the group? What we will do is there is something called as manage recruiting groups. I will go there. And I will choose a group whatever I want. I want to create a group for recruiters. I will give this group. I will add the users in this group. Quote. Maybe come to the tagging part later. Now we will focus on the groups. How to create a recruiting groups. We will go to manage recruiting groups and then we give the names different for it and then we add the users on that. Now how to identify which group to add to which requisition? We have managed recruiting team settings. Here I need to select what requisitions. For example, simple job requisition. Manage access to role by. I'll just do this. The group team. Here I can give the default user. And we can add it like this. If we tag it to the requisition, then it will display it here. My question is that I think you did it. Like as we can see, they are like in the loop. You can just type the name of persons that are on that team. Right? Like yes. You can just not type anyone in. Not anyone. They need to be in this group. Yes, they need to be in that group. My question is, what is the difference to be a member of the group and be selected and searched by this loop? I don't understand that. What is that look for? Like, you can search the person, but you are not adding a more permissions or the reason why we have it. Certain companies have large many employees involved in that. Within the recruiting team itself, they'll be having lots of recruiters. For example, US recruiters, Canada recruiters, India recruiters. In order to avoid the confusion and to identify users we are just segregating into a smaller group that we can identify them easily. For instance, you might be a recruiter. For instance, you might be a recruiter for US group. You are a US recruiter. If we are hiring for a India requisition, we don't want your name to pop up or to shortly skip this ride. We just shortlist the users that it's easier for us to understand that there is no other use of this. As like for example, all the people that is in manage additional users will get that requisition right. Yes. If you type the name here, it is just, as you said, to identify maybe who is the person in charge of that. Like, who will be the recruiter team if we have a lot. Is my understanding correct? So, who are in the present in this group, right? That group, they can see this requisition. We are just specifying one person that we can take in charge of it. But is the same permission as any, for example, if I type here recruiting team permission and recruiter permission is one and same. You cannot differentiate it. Both are same only. The reason we are having team is that more number of people have control on this field as a recruiter. That's all. Thank you. I think we have covered pretty much on that. Now we have left this roadmap. You must be very familiar with the roadmap because you are from PMGM. And then we have just to roll down. I don't know. Step 10. We can give anything description. You can define it however you want. This you are aware of, right? Single role, iterative, collaborative. You are familiar with, right? Single role is single. Iterative is looping between two people. Collaborative is anybody can take it in the same way. Next comes the role part here. We have different roles, employee manager, second manager, those things are all. Normally what we do is if you want somebody within the requisition operator to be the part of it, we are going to define the role. For example, we create a custom and then I'll create it as Jimmy. Hiring manager. But it's the same like if you select in the role like manager. Quick question. For example, if you select custom and I type I don't know like R, that the system identify. That is the right. Yes, these are these things. You can use it. But it's not the hiring manager, the coordinator. My question is how this is like can be the first step because the system doesn't know who is the recruiter for that requisition. Right. That's where when it comes to picture, right, when you are creating a requisition, we will actually define the fields within this thing. If I'm a recruiter and creating the requisition before sending to approval, I'll be having permission to edit, right? I will figure out those things. Who is the recruiter? Who is the hiring manager? And then click on send. Once I click on send, then it follows the roadmap. Whoever name is mentioned as a recruiter here, it's a worker. It goes to Tesla worker. But sorry, quick question. But the first step can be just that the originator has to define like before anything. The person who creates the requisition is the originator. That's it. And you can have it anything. Anything as the first step for the route 1. Yes. The person who is creating will be originator and next part can be anything. It goes to normally. What happens is that companies will be having position management, right? Most of the users will come based on the position. Everything auto-propagates. You just have to go and submit it depending if they have easy. If not, then you have to use this route map and you have to use these things. And before sending to approval, where the person is creating the requisition, he needs to fill up these details. Whoever the person is in a production of this, he needs to fill up the details and then only he will send it for approval. Right. In a general scenario. Oh, then it goes to this and then that approach. Consider this roadmap you're aware of. This is completed and how to tag the roadmap. You must be knowing it. We have to find the requisition. Simple job requisition. I can see that there is no roadmap is different. I can go and send the one which I have for recruiting. I can just go and see what it looks like. Yes, it's just that I was thinking that the requisition works in the same way as PM and GM. The first step is the first step. No one can do anything on the form before that step. That's the reason we defined it right in pre-approved. That's the reason we gave it the permission in pre-approved. Who can do what? Who the operator can do it. Can you create a new requisition? Can you create a new requisition, please? Now we have completed the requisition part. And finally, do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel.